Hello, good afternoon everyone. I am Akanksha. Today I am here to explain about my project that is Linux operating system. What is an operating system? Operating system is a software that communicates with hardware and that allows other programs to run. The features of the operating system: task scheduling, memory management, network communication handling, data and user security. What is the actual definition of the Linux operating system? Linux is a Unix-like open source and community developed operating system from computers, servers, mainframes, mobile devices, and embedded devices. It is supported on almost every major computer platform, including x86, ARM, Spark, and making it one of the most widely supported operating systems. It was developed by Linus Torvalds. Linus Torvalds had wanted to call his innovation freaks a portmanteau of free, freak, and X. During the start of his work on systems, some projects like Makefiles included the name Freaks for about half a year. Initially, Torvalds considered the name Linux. History of Linux operating systems. Unix-like operating system based on kernel written by Linus Benedict Torvald, inspired by Minix operating system. The GNU project started in 1983 by Richard Stallman at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, a Unix compatible software system developed by the Free Software Foundation. History of Linux. He began the work in 1991, August 25th. The historic post was sent to Minix and new scripts by Linus. On September 1991, Linux 0.01 version was released. On October 1922, the first standalone Linux install. On December 1993, a stable beta version was available. On March 1994, version 1.0 was released. First Linux versus Discord Blaze. Today, there are estimated 5 million Linux users worldwide. Features of Linux operating systems. Multiple users can access same system resources such as RAM and hard disk. They must, however, function on different terminals. Multitasking is also a feature of Linux operating systems. By carefully splitting the CPU time, multiple functions can be performed simultaneously. Portably does not imply that lower in file size or that can be carried on a pen drive or memory card. It means that it can work with variety of hardware. Almost all Linux distributions include live CD or USB that users can use to run or test the software without installing it. Although Linux is a command line based operating system, it may be turned to a GUI based system by adding packages. It includes its own software repository where users can download and install a variety of programs. A hierarchical file system that organizes files and directories is one of the main features of it. Linux is a community-based development project that makes its source freely available to everyone. Coming to the application framework of the Linux operating system. Application framework or software components that are not part of Linux kernel, device drivers or programs in general. They are, in other words, the software that sits between application and kernel or device driver software. Why preferably Linux? Because it has a portable environment, it's free and open source, shell or command line interface, end-to-end encryption, graphical user interface, extremely flexible, best for developers. Limitations for Linux operating system. Cynthia cannot utilize Linux because it lacks speech recognition. Linux does not support playback of AV and QuickTime movies. Unlike the Windows Mac OS versions, which we use iOS Latin 1 encoding, Linux uses UTF-8 throughout. The keyboard accelerator map is based on US keyboard layout. Design goals of Linux operating systems. Security and privacy. Operating system should be able to provide system with security and privacy. This is critical because criminal individuals may attempt to get into computer system and steal the user programs. Future hardware and software changes. The operating system must be able to withstand with future hardware and software changes without becoming obsolete, which is crucial design consideration. Portability of operating systems. The operating systems must be portable, which means they must run on variety of hardware and software devices. Although some specialized operating systems are limited to single type of equipment, the majority of them are portable. Backward compatibility. When creating the new operating systems, previous versions and models should be considered. Google has been doing this to assure certain level of generality and compatibility. No specific number of users. This means in order to be successful, operating system must be able to serve a large number of concurrent users. Developers do not want to create the operating systems that can only manage one person. Google aspires for a broad audience with an operating system versions it offers. Resource sharing. Google Android operating system ensures that each new version of operating system can handle many users and resource sharing efficiency. Concurrent sharing. This means that modern operating system should be able to run two or more processes at the same time. Furthermore, the operating system should be able to support several users at once. Linux memory management. The memory management subsystem is in Linux is charge of managing system's memory. Demand paging and virtual memory are implemented in it. Memory allocation for user space programs and kernel internal structures are also included. Linux memory management subsystem includes, among other things, Linux memory management is a complex system with a plethora of features to support wide range of systems, from MMU-less microcontrollers to supercomputers. Different mechanisms of Linux memory management. Huge pages. Various memory access are required for address translation. In comparison to the CPU's performances, these memory accesses are very slow. CPU control the translation look asset buffer cache of various types of translations to avoid wasting processing cycles on address translation. Virtual memory pointer. Through the application software, virtual memory separates physical memory details. It allows physical memory to store only the information that is required. It provides a way to share and safeguard the data between processes in controlled way. Zones. Linux divides memory pages into zones based on potential use. Assume that zone high mem denotes the memory isn't permanently mapped into kernel's address space. Zone DMA denotes that memory can be utilized for DMA by various devices. Page cache. The data can be put into page cache to ignore expensive access of disk on subsequent reads whenever any file is read. Similarly, the data will be positioned inside the page cache and gets into the backing storage device whenever any file is written. Segmentation based on intended use. Linux splits memory pages into zones. Assume that zone high mem refers to memory that isn't permanently mapped into kernel's address space. Zone DMA refers to the memory that can be used for DMA by various devices. On zone normal refers to memory that is accessed on regular basis. OEM killer. It is possible that kernel won't be able to reclaim enough memory and loaded machine memory will be depleted before implementation can begin. Compaction. As the system runs, certain tasks free up the memory space when it's partitioned with which is partition with virtual memory. However, it is possible to limit number of scattered physical pages. The partitioning challenges are defined by memory compression. Process management. When you run a program on Unix system, the system creates the unique environment for it to run. The environment provides everything required for system to run the program as if there were no other programs running. A new process is created or started whenever you issue command under Unix. You need to begin a process which is used which you used the is command to list the contents of directory. In simple words, a process is an instance of running program. PID or process ID is a 5-digit number used by operating system to track a process. Because all potential numbers have been used, PID eventually repeat themselves and next PID rolls or start over. Because Unix employs the PID to track each process, no two processes with same PID exist in system at a given time. Security management. Unix manager protects your company in both internal and external threats. The program monitor analyzes combines events from log files on monitored Unix machines in real time to discover and alert you with range of occurrences. Command line interfaces. The command line interface is a text-based non-graphical interface to the computer system in which user enters a command and computer performs it correctly. The terminal used is the platform or IDE that gives user access to the command line interface environment. Graphical user interface. When we have many shells in open source graphical mode, which is useful in when working on multiple machines, the GUI also allows us to log in using our username and password keys. As demonstrated here, non-graphical mode begins with the text-based login. Typically, we are asked for username ID followed by a password. If the login is successful, we are immediately redirected to the command shell. Conclusion: as many people nowadays claim, Linux is the one of most powerful operating systems in the world, and it's recommended to many developer, engineers, and programs. However, many beginners are unaware of Linux features. So we hope that by reading this article, they will gain better understanding of Linux features and their significance. The bulk of Linux problems are avoided or solved if you have modest or basic technical skills. The above Linux advantages should have convinced. If you need learning of Linux assisting you in getting started. If you think there are any features we missed among the greatest. Thank you. As many people nowadays claim, Linux is one of most powerful operating systems in the world, and it is recommended to many developer, engineers, and programmers. However, many beginners are unaware of Linux features. So we hope by reading this article, they can gain better knowledge of Linux features and significance. The bulk of Linux problems may be avoided or solved if you have modest or basic technical skills. Thank you for our professor, Dr. Thanks you for making us enhancing our skills on operating systems, on different operating systems. I would like to express my gratitude to him. Thank you.